Okay, I'm here with Varuzhan Akobian, one of the top chess players and coaches in the United States. I'm very proud to be here with him, and let's have you describe yourself. Well, how would you describe your role in the chess community in the United States?
Right now, I'm mostly just coaching. So I coach a lot in St. Louis. I work with children there. I have a program that I train called Select Chess with the young players. I've been doing that for the past 3.5 years.
Oh,
And
great.
also, been training students at the St. Louis University for about the same amount of time, 3, 4 years now. So doing both, lots of coaching and still trying to play, but it's not easy.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna ask this question later. Um, how do you balance? But it's the perfect time. So, how do you balance coaching and playing?
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't play as much these days. So I would say maybe I play 30% of the time and 70% of the time I'm just coaching, doing other things related to chess. But it's very hard because, to compete at the high level, you have to play every month and you have to train, you have to analyze your games. So it's not easy to find a balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you keep playing mostly for your own interest, or to keep your skills sharp for coaching? What's the main reason why you keep playing?
I keep playing. I still enjoy playing. I like the competitive part, and
Yeah.
I still like to play against top players. So I mostly enjoy playing blitz and rapid tournaments these days rather than the slow tournaments. So I just like the fast pace. I've always been a very enthusiastic blitz player.
All
So,
right.
so I like the fast time controls nowadays much more. So if there is some big blitz tournaments, I like to compete in it. Uh, you know, and if I play a slow tournaments like classical, I like to play where there are some really strong players. So it's more exciting for me to be around strong players and play against them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's have you back up just a little bit. You're still going. Yeah, that's perfect right there. Okay, so that's really interesting. Is the blitz play mostly because you can kind of mix it up and play lots of different openings, or it's just more exciting because it's faster?
Big Blitz I prefer because it's not so much opening involved.
Hmm.
You can play a lot of different openings. You can take things out of the theory. And so that's the big part. So I don't have to worry about preparing. I can play some unorthodox openings. I can just experiment because, in three plus two time control or even 5 minute game, opponent have to be a strong chess player to outplay you.
Right.
Opening knowledge sort of goes pretty much out of the window. At that point, it's just, whoever is a better chess player. Whoever has better knowledge, better instincts, that player usually will win the blitz game. So that's
Right.
why.
Awesome. Okay, so let's put a pin in the blitz. I want to come back to that later, but first I wanted to start with your general history as a player and your story coming to the United States. First, can you tell everybody how you got started playing chess?
I started playing chess when I was 5 years old, and my father taught me how to play, me and my sister, and that's how it started it. And basically, then I went start training with a coach when I was around 7 years old in Armenia, Yerevan. And then I was pretty good when I was young. So I was considered talented, and then worked hard, and then played a lot of the Armenian junior championships, won those, then qualified to the European and junior championships. So that's how it all started. It.
Wow. Okay, so what was the moment that you knew, or even maybe your coaches knew that you had talent?
I think probably the first time that I won the Armenian juniors tournament, and I think because I was always around very strong players,
Hmm.
even though we were all very young. So I was, growing up, I was competing with Levon Aronian, Gabriel Sargissian, Tigran
Wow.
Petrosian. These are top Armenian grandmasters, and of
Wow.
course Levon was the number two player for a very very long time. And this is a good friend of mine that I grew up with, I trained with, and so it was, compete against actually a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. What is it like having a cadre of such strong players as you're coming up?
It's good. It's good for the competition. It's good to have people around, that, if you don't have a competition, it's going to be hard to grow. So having good competition is actually very, very important.
Yeah, so I guess we can talk about the chess in Armenia right now because this is very pertinent. Why is Armenian culture so strong in chess?
Well, Armenian culture chess is just one thing is because we had Armenian world champion, Tigran
Uh-huh.
Petrosian.
Uh-huh.
So,
Uh-huh.
so that's what makes a big difference. We always like chess, but the fact that we had Armenian world champion, Petrosian, who defeated Botvinnik to become world champion. So that's the big thing about chess. Chess is in schools right now in Armenia. It's a mandatory subject. People, kids learn how to play chess, and government officials always liked chess and they supported chess. And for a small country like about 3 million population, we have some really amazing chess players. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Armenian national team won the Olympics 3 times, chess Olympiad.
Yeah, that's the
Uh,
incredible thing over countries that have 360 million, 240, even like a billion in Russia and China, right? So that's pretty incredible to get that kind of results. Um, when did you first earn your first title?
um, my international title,
Yeah,
or
your first international title. Yeah.
my first international title was the international master. I don't think I was ever a FM. I was just, got my IM norms. So I was already getting stronger and stronger. I was 2350 FIDE, and then I just got my norms. I think I completed all my norms.
Mm.
I completed all my norms, 99, 99. So I was about 15 years old when I became an IM.
Wow. Wow.
15, 16 years old. I completed all my IM norms.
Yeah, and that was super normal for the time around you said around 99.
Yeah,
Uh
well, it was still, it wasn't not like right now. Right now, if now you're not a grandmaster by 13, 14, 15, it's nobody going to be impressed. But back then, still, there was not so many tournaments, so I had to travel to Russia to play a lot of tournaments there. So I got a couple of my norms in Russia, actually competing in some round robin, close tournaments, and also open tournaments. Mhm.
oh wow. So what was it like traveling as a young man at that time? You
Sure.
know,
It was because there was no tournaments in Armenia, so I had to go to compete. So it was hard to go overseas that much. Russia was a little bit easier, and I spoke the
yeah.
language, so it was easier for me to go with my family or by myself sometimes, just to compete in these events. There are a lot more tournaments there. Mhm.
Did you learn anything culturally by doing that?
Well, yeah, you always learn things culturally when you travel to different countries. And, I always spoke good Russian, so it was very important. It's much easier for me to communicate with the players, people,
Right.
organizers. So, yeah, I learned a lot. I think, the good balance in my play. Learned a lot from the Soviet chess school, the Russian chess school of training. So
Right.
picked up a lot of stuff, I think, from that.
And thinking back to that time, where internet chess was just barely starting. Um, what was the access to materials and maybe even high level opening prep and things like that? What kind of access did you have?
I did not have much access. I did not have a computer. My first computer was when I moved to US. That's when I actually had my first PC and my laptop. So I grew up just, some of my friends had laptops already. I was just like maybe just training with them using the
Mm-hmm.
machines, but I just did not really have the machine. So I was using a lot of the books, the informats, the books from Yugoslavia, and
Yeah.
magazine, Chess 64 magazines, just whatever materials I can get, some new books, but mostly was informats.
And where did you get most of your opening lines came from the informants?
Opening lines came basically from books and from analyzing.
Mm-hmm.
At last few years when I was in Armenia, then there was already people had some chess space was already out there. So
Okay.
I did not have it myself, but some of my friends had it, so we could do a little bit of work on the computer.
Oh wow, that's like the beginning of chess base.
Yeah,
That's pretty exciting. Okay, let back up a little bit.
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. I don't want to have your forehead cut off. Perfect. Okay,
yeah.
so then let's talk about moving to the United States. Then, why did you come, and how did you find the transition?
We moved with the family, so it was so the whole family moved here, just looking for more opportunities. At that time, it was very tough in Armenia. The economy was very bad. It was,
Hmm.
unemployment. So just, we wanted to, we also had a lot of relatives here. My grandmother was living here, my uncle, my aunt. So, in LA, there is a very large Armenian community. So
Yeah,
we had some good relatives, and just we were trying to come earlier, but it just it wasn't happening, it wasn't working out. So finally it worked out in 2001, and that's when I moved to US.
Did you have trouble adjusting at all?
Well, it was not easy because I didn't speak the language, so I had to
Yeah.
learn. So I had to learn the language. I had to, then I had to get some students because, it's very hard when you're new in the country, you don't know anything, and you barely speak any English. But slowly I, learned and start training people, and became a popular teacher in Southern California.
Yeah, yeah, and so that happened slowly. Do you remember who any of your first students were?
I remember one of my first students. I forgot his name, but I met him in one of the tournaments, and he was impressed by my results and my rating. I was like around 2400 already, 24
Okay.
plus IM. So I started training with him. It was not easy because I didn't speak the language that well. So, but he understood my broken English, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah, I forgot his name, but yeah. He was my first student, and then he recommended me to his friend, and you know how that goes,
Yeah,
then the
yeah.
friend of friend, and I was charging very reasonable, and then and I pick up a lot of my students from the tournaments when I go compete in a lot of these tournaments in Southern California. People see me usually finishing at the top, and they ask me for if they can train with me.
Yeah, yeah. I actually interviewed one of your old students, Show Glassenhauser.
Class Hauser, yes.
Glasshauser, yeah, yeah. He's a national master now. How many students do you think you've trained to at least the master level or above?
Oh, I've trained a lot of people. I've helped about 8, 9 people become a grandmaster.
Wow.
So many people I trained. Kostya Kavutsky, he was my
Yeah,
student. He's an IM.
yeah.
Many people. A lot of people that I work with at the summer chess camps. I trained a lot of people at the summer chess camp. Josiah Stearman was in my group. Hans Niemann was in my group. So it was a
Wow.
lot of people, at the
Yeah,
summer chess camps.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, no, it was I worked with a lot of people, a lot of top. Annie Wang was, I worked with her for a couple of years. She became
Wow.
extremely strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I helped, a lot of people achieve that desired Grandmaster title, when they were
Yeah.
just very close, but not quite there and need a little bit of push. So
Yeah, let's talk about
about I don't know exact number. It will be hard to guess, but it was quite a lot of people. I still train a lot of strong players right now.
Yeah, if I mean if you've trained at least how many did you say? How many GMs did you say?
Well, I help about 8 or 9 people to become a grandmaster
Yeah,
when
that's
they were
incredible.
IM or
Right.
FM, and
Right.
many people I achieved the IM level as well.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about you achieving GM first though. How did that happen?
I The way it worked is I became a GM. It was 2002, and I started competing, and something very important happened at that time. I was awarded the Sanford Fellowship.
Oh,
So which helped me to, pay for coaching, travel to tournaments, because at that time I was only 1 year in the country, so it was very difficult financially.
wow.
So that really helped me when I won the Stanford Fellowship. So immediately, actually, I played the round robin tournament. Actually, sorry, I played in a World Open 2002, and I had a great performance there, and got a norm there.
Oh, wow, at the
I
World
tied
Open.
for first. I tied for first, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So 7 out of 9. I got my first tournament, and then like that was in July, and then I went in September. There was this tournament in San Francisco, Eimer Koenig Memorial. It was a very big, very strong tournament, round robin, and it was 8 grandmasters playing, and myself and Nakamura.
Wow.
So and all the big names were there: Alex Yermolinsky, John Fedorovich, all grandmasters.
Wow.
So I played there and I actually won the tournament, and I was the lowest ranked player in that tournament. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Wait. Okay, how did you feel when you won that?
Well, I felt amazing because that was my second GM norm, and I
Yeah.
won the first prize, which was like 5,000, which was like I was very excited. And then also they gave me the best game prize as well.
Oh, wow.
My win against Hikaru Nakamura was they choose this as the best game of the tournament, so that was another additional prize money. So
That's
uh,
incredible. Um,
yeah, so it was very very exciting that year 2002, and then I had one norm left, one
right,
norm left. But
right,
back then there were not so many tournaments. It's not like right now you can play a norm tournament every week if you really want,
right.
Back then it was not easy. So I was still mainly just playing in US. I wasn't traveling overseas or anything. So I was just like focusing here. And then my last norm came in 2003 in a round robin tournament. It was in LA. Edward Gufeld. This was like a 1 year after Gufeld passed. So it
Okay.
was organized for his memorial. And then I played there and I got my last GM norm there. And that was it. And then I got a lot more norms after that, of course, But that third one was a little bit, it was a little bit of, a little bit of struggle, to get the
Right.
last one. But I just didn't have too many tournaments also
Was it
playing.
because there weren't that many tournaments happening at the
No,
time, or?
there were no, there were like, essentially there was like maybe one or two round robin tournaments the whole
Uh-huh.
year. And there was one in New York. I played in New York and I think I didn't get the norm there. There was
Well.
one in New York in 2003. I played there for GM Norm, and I didn't make. And then the U.S. Championship, I missed one Norm in the U.S. Championship actually. I needed draw in the last game. I lost, so it was
Oh.
yeah, it was a 2003 U.S. Championship actually. That was the painful one because I last round I was playing Shabalov, and if I win, I will become a U.S. champion in my first attempt.
Oh my gosh.
I was still in 19th, yeah, 19th, yeah. And if I make a draw, I get a GM draw. I achieves a GM norm, my last GM norm. So I lost that game in a very favorable position actually. So it's
Oh
very
man.
one of the most painful losses because it costs a lot.
What do you think attributes to that? Psychological or?
No, I was, I mean, it was a lot on the line at that time, so still 19 years old, first time playing a US championship,
Mm-hmm.
and I was half a game away from winning it because I just I had a good position and I just win this game. I'm US champion in my first attempt and get the last GM norm, win a huge prize. I think also qualify to the World Cup. So it was just a lot on the line. I just got nervous a little bit at some point and I just started playing not the optimal moves and gave the initiative to Shabalov. He played really well that game. He put a lot of pressure on me, you
Hmm.
know. So
Hmm.
he was trying to win as well because he was going to be a US champion.
Oh wow. And did he win? He won the U.S.
He
championship.
won. Yeah, he won the US championship and I finished a tie for second. Yeah.
Yeah. So then what did you do after that to come back and?
After that, I just didn't have that much time. I just
Mm.
had a month or two, and I played another tournament right after that. Uh, and then I beat Shabalov in that tournament. It was interesting. I much rather lose that one, but win the big one, the U.S. Championship game.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We would play each other like so many times in that year, 2003. It was like crazy. We played like 4 or 5 times each other, and I was always black. I was black, and then he
Oh
won
no.
twice. He won twice. I won twice. But it was just that one win he had against me was the U.S. Championship.
Right.
I wouldn't mind losing all the other games, but just to win that one.
Right. Right. To win the
Yeah,
U.S. championship on your
yeah,
first try. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. No, that
Oh
would
my
have been
gosh.
amazing. Yeah, it's only like few people who have done that. I think Bobby Fischer has done that and got the Kamsky
Wow.
to
Oh
win in the
man.
first attempt.
That's incredible. So at that time there probably were what, like 4 or 5 norm events.
Oh, at that time there were not so many norm events at all. I would say that's the max. I know there was in New York they were doing that
Hmm.
one tournament. I organized actually one or two tournaments myself.
Oh wow.
I was actually organizing some tournaments back in the day because I had some good friends that were sponsoring. So I'm talking about early 2000s. That's when I actually had a GM Norm tournament in Beverly Hills.
Oh
It was
wow.
the Beverly Hills Chess Club. We organized it there
Yeah.
to Oscar Maldonado. So we did it with him one time, and then we organized one in Santa Monica. But yeah, so I have some experience organizing this GM Norm tournaments, even like 20 years back.
Yeah. Wow. It's kind of incredible how much the landscape has changed. Can you talk a little bit about that on how you've seen just the general availability of tournaments change in the United States?
Yeah, no, it's different now for sure because now there's so many tournaments and it's much easier to get in touch with players and it's right now it's just so many events. Sometimes it's just they're on top of each other. So it's like, and literally, if you really want to play, like almost every week, you can probably find a tournament in US that you can
Right.
play for norm. Back then, were actually the tournaments in Hungary were popular, the first Saturday tournaments.
Okay.
The people would travel there to play a couple of tournaments in a row. But again, to go to Europe at that time, you still had to have decent resources to do that,
Right.
to
Right.
travel, to stay for a month, play like maybe three norm events.
Wow. Why do you think there are so many more events now?
I think we have a lot more players,
Hmm.
and it's chess is booming. Our memberships is up actually. It's at the highest point right now. USCF memberships, and so we have a lot more members. Chess is just a lot more popular now.
Right,
And
right.
we have a lot of young players, very strong. See, when I was growing up, there were like strong young players, but there were not as many as right now. Right now, you have all these young guys, they're maybe 12, 13 years old, 22, 2300 level already, and they're going to give you a fight. So you go to these tournaments, it's not going to be easy to win even your first round game.
Wow.
No. But back in the day, when I was going to these tournaments, I was pretty confident I'm, going to win the first three games, and that's when the real tournament usually starts. But
Mm.
now you go there, you see people GMs get nickel for even draw. Sometimes they even lose the first round
Wow.
to a 2300 player because the computers and everything, they made it, a lot easier for people to train and just be more comfortable, in
Right.
their openings and just play.
Right. To play a lot more variety of positions too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot more tournaments and yeah. So that's why it's much harder right now to win this open tournaments. Much, much harder.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I got something funny for you. I saw that in 2007 you were on MTV's True Life series.
Yes.
And the episode was titled "I'm a Genius."
Yes.
Do you think you're a genius?
I'm not sure, I mean, it's that was the show name
Yeah,
that scene,
yeah.
and it was they in that one episode they interviewed three different people.
Hmm.
So it was myself, I was the chess prodigy, and there was a person who was in science, and another person who was very good academically. So it's three different characters.
That's
So, and
interesting.
yeah, unfortunately, you can't really see it. I mean, it's I think copyright, so you can't really
Oh, it's
see
hard.
it.
It's
Yeah,
hard to access it. Oh man,
it's very hard to. You have to, I guess, if you work hard, you probably can get it, but
dig it
it's not easy.
online.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, no, it was pretty cool, and yeah, I mean, at that time I was 2006, 2007. I was up there. I was like top four in the country, top four, top five.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was basically a big Hikaru Nakamura, myself, Alex Onishuk,
Hmm.
uh, you know, and there were a few other strong players, Shabalov, Kaidanov, Schulman.
Right,
So it was just basically it was us, and I guess Kamsky already came back. He retired, but then he came back at some point. So
right, right,
so I was in that circle of top 5, 6 in the country.
right, right. That's incredible. I mean, did you feel honored to be on TV like that?
I thought it was cool. At first I didn't know what it was gonna be when they contacted me. I was like, but then I was like, okay, let's do it, and but it became extremely popular. I was, getting recognized at the most random places, and
Yeah.
everywhere, and because they also showed this all over the world, it wasn't just in US. So I was getting messages from many parts of the world, Colombia, Africa, like Armenia, everywhere, So it was
That's
kind of
incredible.
kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. Um, do things like that distract from your chess? I'm just curious.
Well, it was a little bit distracting because you always have cameras following you, and it was just basically showing, what I do on a daily basis. So I would
Yeah.
go to the gym, I do lessons with my students. They even travel to a tournament with me to Mexico. So it was different.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but I enjoyed it. It was a good experience.
Okay, and then back to the US championship. Did you ever win?
No, I never won still. It's
Oh,
been on my list. I actually had that one was very close call. I had a very close call in 2014.
yeah, I saw
Again,
that.
same thing, half a point away to win it, and then I tied for first. Then
Yeah.
played playoffs. I beat
So
Lenderman in the
you
playoffs.
technically tied for first, but they had this
Yeah,
crazy playoff structure.
yeah, I beat Lenderman in the first playoff, and
And
then
and
second playoff here
Kamsky
comes.
was seated in, right?
Yeah, he was seated in because he had a better tiebreak. So I tied for first. We can say
Yeah, yeah,
tied
yeah,
for first.
yeah.
But
uh,
But yeah, I was runner-up that year actually. I lost to Kamsky, and then I was very close again in 2017.
mhm.
I had a great tournament. That tournament was significantly stronger. It was already Wesley So, Fabiano Caruana,
Right.
Hikaru Nakamura. So I actually beat Fabiano in that tournament. I was beating Wesley actually. I was one move away from beating Wesley. I drew him, and then last game I'm playing Hikaru. And if I win, I'm US champion again, clear.
Wow.
And I have a very good position. All I gotta do is win. If I tie, then we have playoffs.
Ah, okay.
With Alex Onyshuk and Wesley. So if I tie, it's playoffs. If I win, I'm the US champion. So I had a really good position at some point. Nice advantage, not like winning, but like good advantage. But I just again misplayed it and let him get the initiative, and it was a difficult end game. I should probably hold it, but then I just didn't defend correctly and eventually lost that game. So again, came super close. Well, that was my last close call. So basically, 2003, 2014, 2017. These are the 3 times I was very, very close.
How do you move on or recover from that kind of like
Well,
really?
it's not easy because the US Championship is such a unique tournament. It's very, very hard to get into it even right now. To
Yeah,
qualify, it's
yeah.
extremely hard. So I will be playing in a US Open in 1 month to try to qualify to the US Championship. So it's tough.
You'll have to go through me.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So
No
but
competition here.
yeah, it's tricky.
So the U.S.
It's
Oh
really
yeah, so
tricky.
the U.S. Open, you will have the ability to qualify,
Yeah,
but
if I
there's
win it, I can qualify.
but that event still will have like
I'll still have 10 Grandmasters for
10,
sure,
10, yeah,
maybe more.
yeah, or more
Yeah.
grandmasters. So that's not going to be easy. Um, it has with this young crop. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think it's the right time to talk about it here. With this young crop of new grandmasters, international masters, and even masters coming up, where do you fit in the competitive scene?
Oh, well, I like I say, I like to compete. I don't mind playing any of these young guys in especially Blitz and Rapid formats.
Yeah,
I enjoy that. I just wish we have more Blitz and Rapid tournaments. A slow chess again requires lots of preparation, lots of constant opening work, which it's not easy if you're not competing professionally. Like you don't have the time to sit down and spend 3 hours on your openings every day.
right, right.
To play at a very high level, you have to do that. You have to constantly work on your game. So that's why it's harder now. But if there are some special tournaments I'll be competing in, I'll definitely put the time into it and prepare.
Yeah, yeah,
I
and
still enjoy the competitive part. It's just, I don't play as often these days.
right, right. Well, I mean, how many hours a day are you coaching usually?
It depends. It depends, but I'm usually have a pretty busy day, like with between the different things that I do.
Yeah,
It keeps me busy. But yeah, the young players are extremely strong, as I say. There's for when I play them, it's tough. Even the 2200 players are tough to beat. I tell you that. They're much better now than they were 20 years ago.
I love to hear that. That means the general boat, the tide of all chess players is rising, and all chess players are getting better. Um,
Absolutely,
and
absolutely,
would you just attribute that to just the access of information on the online,
absolutely.
or
Yeah, access of information is playing a huge role. Chess.com, you have leeches, you have Chessable courses. I
Mhm.
mean, you don't need to necessarily have a coach all the time.
Right?
If you know how to work on your chess, you'll be able to, you get better. Of course, if you have some good coach as well, that will help you. But again, a lot of these players, they just train on their own.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any negative to the complete access to information like that, or even the engines?
It's a lot of the new ideas are basically gets recognized pretty quickly,
Uh huh.
and it's much harder to come up with novelties and new ideas because it's just people spend a lot of time researching the databases and it's coming up with ideas. So
Yeah.
you will lose a little bit of the creativity because everything now it's run by engines, and they just analyze and say, okay, this is terrible, this is okay. So it's just
Yeah,
uh,
I'm curious if you agree with me here that a lot of modern chess is trying to find positions where your opponent will play a natural move that's wrong. Is that
what
accurate?
is it? Sorry.
Where you're trying to find a position to put your opponent into a position where they would play something that's very natural in that position, a move that would be pretty normal for the structure, but that move is actually kind of wrong. That move doesn't make sense, or is it maybe just move order considerations?
Yeah, move order makes a difference. A lot of times also we have the transpositions.
Yeah, yeah,
So We play one opening, then we see we're suddenly in a different opening via the transposition, you know.
Right.
So yeah, you have to pay attention to move orders. You know, this is something that it's a common problem sometimes, even for the top players. The mix-up of the move orders, and
Right.
one mix-up, it leads to a totally different position, you know.
Yeah,
So
the
that's
the
why.
game that Hikaru beat Fabiano recently
Yeah,
in
Bobby
the
Bobby mixed up the moves.
yeah, yeah, Fabi just mixed it up on move like 18.
Yeah,
It's
he had a
like
decent
crazy.
position, but he played one really bad move, and it was basically lost after
Yeah,
that.
just lost after that, which is just
Yeah, in a huge game
yeah, in a huge game. Yeah.
for last round for the first prize. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, competing with that is super challenging. Would you say you prioritize your students more these days?
Yeah. At this moment, yeah, I just definitely do that more, prioritize more the working with the students.
Okay, so then let's talk about how you can identify someone that is talented. Um,
Uh, by someone, I've trained so many people
mhm,
that it's very easy for me to see. You know, like I just have this. I can compare, you know, people, their abilities, their understanding when I show them something, how
yeah.
they grasp, you know. So for me, it's pretty clear when I get a new students, I can tell, even, young age that this is a very special student, okay?
Hmm.
This student is, let's say, good, but this one student has a little bit more potential.
Yeah, yeah.
So you
And
can see, like a pattern recognition, ability to work hard, ability to concentrate during the
mm-hmm,
lesson.
mm-hmm.
So these are all important factors.
Oh, so it's like the whole package. You wouldn't just give
Yeah.
them puzzles and say,
No, I mean, I would give some puzzles to see how quickly they solve it, for example.
yeah.
But I will show some of my games. I will try to pause and make them find the moves. So I will do that as well.
So, do you think that that talent itself is a little overrated? You kind of need a whole package like that where
You need
you
to have a talent. If to be a very strong player, you need to have a talent. But
mhm,
even if you don't have a talent, you work extremely hard, you can still
yeah,
become a good chess player. But
yeah.
to become, let's say, grandmaster or even more than that, elite player, yeah, you need to have a talent for sure.
Well, is concentration in the talent category though? The ability.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
Some people
okay.
just have a hard time concentrating, Like I
Uh-huh.
work with a lot of kids, they're very, very good, but they can't focus.
Right,
And
right.
that's what I say. If you can't focus, you can't be a very good chess player. You at some point you're gonna start blundering stuff and. So focus is the key to be able to achieve great results. Mhm.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's you're one of the first people that I've heard say that
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, because you have to work hard during the game.
right,
So you have to be able to sit down for 3, 4 hours and concentrate.
right.
So if you can't, what will happen is you're gonna make an impulsive move, and without calculating, that might lead to a blunder, or you might miss something.
Hmm.
So and you have the patience too. Some people don't have the patience; they just
Yeah.
make a quicker move, and so that's
Or they want to rush the
patience.
position. Yeah.
Patience, concentration is very, very important factor.
So the common saying in the end game, hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
uh, so you've seen students that just can't be patient in positions, and that is
Well,
what
that's why I
holds them
work with
back.
them. I try to improve that factor. I
Hmm.
work with them. I try to
Right.
help them to get better at that. Absolutely.
Right. And is there something that experience brings as opposed to the younger players can see a lot and they're very very fast and
Hmm.
they're able to memorize tons of opening lines, but is there a interplay there between experience and that talent?
Well, yeah. I mean, talent is important and experience too. But nowadays chess is such a young game. So you have all these young players now, super grandmasters from India, for example. They have so many of them now. So you have to really start early in chess if you want to achieve the very big results.
Right,
So
right,
that's why I have students that I'm training them right now with a mindset that, I'm going to make them a grandmaster. Okay. This is what their parents want. This is what, the focus is. Very,
right.
very specific work.
When you do that, do you set up um like their schedule, even down to the what tournaments they're playing and things like that, or you work with
Yeah,
them to do that?
we discuss the schedule, which
Mhm.
tournaments we're going to play, and which tournaments are more suitable than others. So
Ah, ah.
absolutely, yes.
So what's the strategy behind that? The suitability.
to well, the strategy behind that is because we want to make sure that you play in the tournaments where give you the most opportunities. See, I
Right.
always encourage my students to play in the strong tournaments where they have chances to play stronger players. I
Yeah.
never want them to play in the lower sections where they have not much to gain.
Yeah.
So always encourage them to play in the higher sections.
So then, do you see any value in under sections at say the big open tournaments and things
Well,
like that?
when you're starting out and getting good at it, it's a good opportunity for you to maybe win one, earn some money.
Yeah.
That way you can support your chess career.
Right.
But eventually, you want it, you move on to the next group. So you won the 1200, move on to 14. So you have to, So some of these tournaments have good prize money. So I know people are really focused on trying to win those prize money.
Right. What about students just directly playing in the open section or in
Well, I
closed
think it's
events?
not a bad idea, but again, you have to be strong enough I think, to make sense to play an open section. If you
Right.
say 1200, you play an open section, I don't see the big point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're up and coming, you're getting up there, you're on the rise, you're 17, 1800, you want to play an open section, that's fine.
Right.
But we also have a lot of times you see an open section and you have a lot of people like 900 rating, they play an open section.
Yeah.
So it's you can, but you're not going to learn as much. When as if you're already at 17, 1800, you play an open section, then, you know, you're going to have good experience.
Right. Right. And let's say you have a student like that that's been working their way up. What kind of advice do you give to the parents in helping mentor them and guide them?
Just continue work hard and just try to have good results, you
Yeah.
know. But training is very important. You have to also be consistent.
Right.
And a lot of times in chess, you have some problems here and there. You have to make sure you continue uh, working hard. You don't give up,
Right.
because at some point you're gonna run into some problems. So you want to continue working hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And the hard work
Mhm.
is the everyday thing that students have to do. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I have a good sense of your coaching, and but I wanna ask you some fun questions. Who is your favorite chess player first?
My favorite chess player is I grew up studying Karpov and Petrosian.
Okay,
Okay, so
yeah,
that's why they influenced my play. So I would say both these guys, Karpov, Petrosian.
okay, great. And along with that, do you have a specific opening that you like more than
Well,
all
I
those?
like to. Well, I've been a French player all my life, so
Oh,
French
okay,
defense, you can say, is the opening that has been with me all my career. So I like that for black, French, and also with white. I've been a D4 player pretty much all my life. So a little bit more positional style. My openings are.
yeah. But they say the French is like suffering half the game. Um,
It is suffering. It's not easy, and that's why sometimes I change it. I play some other openings, but
yeah.
yeah.
Is it just because you historically played it, or you just know
I
it so
I
well,
I
or?
just learned it. I know it so well. I know the ideas, but again, right now it's really tough. And even my strong grandmaster friends, they joke with me. Say, you would have been a much better player if you didn't play the French. Yeah, it's half a
uh,
joke.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Why don't you play the Caro-Kann?
Yeah, I played the Caro-Kann.
Oh, you do play Caro. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because Karpov's games. That's what I was thinking there. Okay, and then what would you say your favorite chess piece is?
Uh, Probably the knight.
Oh, okay. Why?
Probably the knight. I don't know. Just the fact that you can maneuver it and jump around.
Yeah,
Knight is very tricky piece.
yeah, yeah. Lots of forks.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. And okay, what's your favorite game in all of chess history?
Well, well, there's so many of them. I really like the Petrosian game against Botvinnik from the World Championship match.
Yeah,
I forgot which game is it, but this is a game that Petrosian's king is on e2, he's
yeah.
white, and then it ends up going to g8
Oh,
with
King
white.
Walk.
King walk all the way to g8, and Botvinnik resigns. So
Oh,
it's an
I actually
amazing
know the
game.
game. I know which game you're talking about.
Yeah, so
That's
that's
incredible.
probably my favorite game. It was a Grunfeld defense opening.
Is that's a really beautiful game. Is beauty in chess something that's important to you?
Yeah, it's always nice to see a game like that. We always see a lot of tactical masterpieces, which is nice to see, but it's not often you see endgame where you can maneuver your king from e2 to g8, create weaknesses. And just the way that Petrosian was playing was amazing. He was just poking, poking and, getting better. And, and he was doing this against Botvinnik, He
Right,
wasn't doing it
right.
against just any GM.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
He's doing it against the inventor of the school.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was quite amazing.
Um, okay, that's awesome. Okay, let's talk about the current crop of young prodigies in the United States. Um, who do you think has the biggest chance to win the world championship?
World championship from current players? That's a very tough
Well,
question, Dylan,
I would
because
say you can divide it into two groups. So obviously we have Wesley, Naka, and Fabi that have the biggest chance at the moment.
Mhm.
Would you agree there?
Yeah, but these are the players over 30 years old now,
Yeah, yeah,
basically 30 and Hikaru is over 30, 35.
yeah,
Yeah, so these are the guys who definitely have a good chance right now,
yeah,
especially with Magnus, sort of retiring from his world champion. So definitely I see a good chance here. The
yeah.
crown coming back to US at some point very soon. So, and from the other guys, I mean, we have the other one is a tough question because you just don't know how the career of this player is going to develop. I know
Sure,
Mishra
sure.
Mishra is the one of the youngest grandmasters, let's say. So he's working hard, but again, we have to see more progress from him.
Right.
We have to see him, reach. I don't know what his rating is right now. We have to see him solidify over 2600 and get better. Then we have these other few guys like Jeffrey Shong, Sam Savian, who are
Right.
close to 2700. So we have some very talented players for sure, but first they have to break it into elite
Yeah. Yeah.
to so you can even start talking about possibly world championship. So once
Right.
they have break into elite, they establish themselves, then we can see. But right now is I think our sort of our not veterans, but our older elite GMs are the ones that I would kind of keep an eye on for the world championship. The other guys still have a lot to improve. I mean, I'm sure I missed some names as well
Right.
that we
Right.
have. But we know we have some other 2600 players. But again, these players have to show more results like the players from India are doing right now.
Yeah. It's
With
incredible.
Arjun, Pragananda, we have to see this type of Gukesh. We have to see this kind of progress from them. If
What
we see this, then we can see.
what will
Mhm.
it take for U.S. players to compete with the Indian crop or even the Chinese
I,
crop?
I I'm not sure. I think Indian players are just a little bit more focused.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
problem with our players is they're at the age where there is maybe time to think about university. There is time to about you get distracted.
Right.
The Indian players, I think they're just live, train, eat, travel, play chess. This is all they do. So I think this is I think because I see them compete all the time.
Right.
They're playing a
Right.
tournament here and in Dubai, then they're playing another tournament in Spain. And I talked to some of these top Indian players, and yeah, this is incredible. They would travel to Europe to play one or two tournaments, and unfortunately, we don't see that as much from our US players right now yet. So they need to play
Hmm.
more tournaments, more opportunity. I want to see Sam Savian play more, Jeffrey Shong to play more. But also another problem is there are not so many tournaments for these players.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of tournaments for the super elite players, but for these players, like around 2700, there's just not so many tournaments.
Right.
Unless you're willing to travel and play in the European leagues or some other, if you're willing to travel, you'll find tournaments, but otherwise it's not so many tournaments. We have Ray Robson, for example. We have Sam Shanklin,
Right.
2700s again,
Right.
but these are not like these players are 30 and over and getting close to 30.
Right. 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 So their shot is limited.
Yeah.
Do you think it's is there a funding gap in the United States, or is it just
Um,
cultural?
I don't think it's too much about funding. I think nowadays, if they want to play tournaments, I think most of their stuff will be covered by the organizers.
Yeah.
It's just ability to travel, ability to being 100% to dedicate. So
Hmm.
there are a few players I know they're very dedicated to this, but other ones I'm not sure because sometimes I don't see them playing for 3, 4 months. And if you're an elite level player, you can't really do that. You need to be, in the mix. You need to compete.
Is
You can't just wait for a good tournament and then play.
is there something about America in general, like America's such an individualistic place that maybe there's some sort of community lacking that makes it hard for these players to want to play that much?
I'm not sure. I mean, because we know all the tournaments, like we have a lot of elite tournaments in St. Louis, like the American Cup, where they invite all our top Americans play that tournament. Then we have a U.S. champion. So St.
Yeah.
Louis is doing a really good job organizing at least two tournaments per year for all our top 10 players,
Right.
American
Right.
Cup and a U.S.
For
Championship. So
the
those are
elite
two
level.
very good elite level. So
Yeah.
basically, all our elite players, top 10 guys, play. So
Right.
they all get into the mix and they compete for really good prizes.
Right.
But for some of these players, I mentioned they need more opportunity. Like our top players have no problem. Levon Aronian, Wesley So, Fabi Caruana, Hikaru, even Lenier Dominguez. They have some tournaments.
Right.
They're okay. Some have more opportunities than others, but they have. But for the other guys, they need to play more. I think
Mm.
Sam Shankland, there. I know he's playing a tournament. I think right now. Well, there's a tournament in Prague right now. I don't know if Sam is. I think Sam is playing in Prague right now. Sam and Ray. So they need to play more. It depends. But again, some of them do a little bit of coaching. They write courses, Chessable. So it's not easy.
Yeah. Definitely never easy to be a chess professional. Um,
Absolutely.
we'll wrap up here soon because really good interview. I appreciate everything you said. Good
Sure.
wisdom here. Um, I have a tough question for you though.
hmm
If you could have just kept playing professionally, would you have chosen to do that?
It's hard to say. It depends. If I, uh, you know, if it was all about circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I was in different circumstances, I had financial support, I had sponsorship,
Right.
you know, it would have been much easier for me. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like, if we take 10 years, 15 years back and where I am now, yes, for sure I would have done it. But back in the day it was different. You didn't know if you're gonna make it. You were still new in the country. It was not easy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I did have a sponsorship for 2 years with the Stanford Fellowship, which I really appreciate that. And it was a big help for me to have that sponsorship fellowship for 2 years. That
Yeah.
helped me to become a grandmaster.
Yeah.
It's still out there. Stanford Fellowship. You probably heard of it before.
Yeah. I
They
was very
they
surprised that it was
they
around 20
yeah.
years ago. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's been
Yeah.
around more than that. It's been around probably 30 years.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So when I got it, it was 2002.
Wow.
And yeah, no, it's still around, and all the top players, they got that pretty much all our top players.
Right.
So uh, yeah, no, I would have liked to see how far I could have gone, whether or
Yeah.
not I could have make it to the elite, top 10, top 15.
Right.
You know, a lot of my friends did it, they made it. So, but again, there's just no guarantee. You could work extremely hard. You probably have good chances to make it, but it's not easy. 2017 was my peak year where I got to almost not 2700, but 2680 plus FIDE.
Yeah.
So I was very close. That was my peak year where I almost won the US championship. So that was the year perhaps where, if I had a couple of more results, I would have solidified myself as a 2700 player, but it didn't quite work out now. I lost some rating. So
Yeah. I mean, it's just hard to compete in general and to keep up your level of competition, like you said, with
Mhm.
life happening. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us, Var. I mean, uh, it's really incredible what you do for the community. And one more question that's just kind of for fun. You're such a likable guy in the chess community, and you're welcoming to strong players and players that just like chess or just passionate about chess, like some friends that I know. You don't really look down on anybody for their chess ability. Why do you think you're so friendly and welcoming?
Well, because I work with a lot of players at different level. Like I say, I have people who just learning the game. They want me to train them. I have people who are already grandmasters. They want to get better. They work with me. So it's just, I work with a lot of different level players, and I'm the type of person that would like to encourage people to get better at
Yeah,
anything they do. And since chess is my profession, I just try to, be kind and explain them, help them, just to see them get better at chess. That's my biggest reward when I see my students get better and achieve better results. Even when I go to some of these tournaments, I talk to people, they ask me for some advices, how they can get better. So I'm always happy to do that, just to share some experience of my experience of training people for over 20 years and, just help them get better. It's always nice to see people get better and improve their results.
Excellent, Far. I appreciate that. Okay, we'll stop the interview, but thank you, and I appreciate everything that you've said today.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.